Iran and Russia are expected to sign a major new strategic partnership treaty during a visit to Moscow by Iran's president. Masoud Pezeshkian arrived in the Russian capital earlier on Friday. He's meeting now with President Putin before signing the deal. Little's known about the upcoming treaty, but both sides are looking to deepen their relations in the face of Western sanctions. So we'll get more from what we can expect from the deal in just a moment. First, though, here's a look at some of the recent developments affecting ties between the two countries, starting with Ukraine.
This bus in southern Ukraine has just been hit by a Russian drone. A drone that in all likelihood was made by Iran. And in this case, killed at least one person. The use of drones in the Ukraine conflict has not just terrorised people on both sides. It's also transformed Russia's relationship with Iran and influenced the shape of what's being called an historic new deal governing ties between the two countries. Iran allegedly supplies most of the drones Russia deploys in Ukraine, and according to the US, has also delivered short-range ballistic missiles. This new role as Moscow's main military supplier has enabled Tehran to gain leverage after decades of being viewed as a junior partner in the relationship. And it's not just defence ties that are being put on a new footing. After their first meeting in October 2024, the two presidents said they had many similar views on world affairs and were keen to expand cooperation in all areas, economically, culturally, and in the international arena. They said deepening ties was a way of countering the punishing sanctions that the US and its allies have imposed on both countries. And they're pushing for completion of this alternative route for global trade, known as the North-South Transport Corridor, and already years in the making. It would open a pathway to India and the Gulf while bypassing the sea lanes of the West. Many say Russia and Iran are not obvious allies, despite cooperating for years in Syria to prop up the now defunct Assad regime. In the past, their relationship has been called a marriage of convenience, with many ups and downs. But now there's a prospect of a new chapter. And despite their insistence they're not targeting any one country and that the new pact will be only constructive, it still appears to have the potential to make some in the West uneasy.
Now, Iran and Russia are expected to sign a major new strategic partnership treaty during a visit to Moscow by Iran's president. Masoud Pezeshkian has been holding talks with President Putin before signing the deal. The Kremlin says it covers areas from trade and military cooperation to science, education and culture. Both sides are looking to deepen their relations in the face of Western sanctions. Let's get more on this from our correspondent, Sergei Satanovskii, in Riga, where DW has been operating from since being banned from Russia. Welcome back, Sergei. Iran already thought to be providing Russia with significant military assistance. What else does Moscow hope to gain from this deal?
Well, so far there is no sign that this meeting will take the relationship between Russia and Iran to a new level, but it could help formalize the current level of cooperation. It's possible that the timing of this meeting right before Trump's inauguration in Washington is not a coincidence. Trump has already said he'll continue his so-called maximum pressure policies against Iran, and Moscow might want to find out if Iran would give up its partnership with Russia to, for example, avoid some US sanctions. This partnership, of course, includes ever-growing economic and military ties, especially since Russia started its full-scale invasion of Ukraine almost 3 years ago.
And can Iran rely on Russia being a reliable partner?
Well, this is a good question because since both sides have accused each other of abandoning Damascus, however, the last 3 years show that Iran actually can count on Russia Moscow, for example, has been helping Tehran join international organizations. For example, it was Moscow, Russia, that pushed for Iran to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and it was also Moscow that supported Iran's entry into BRICS last year. So some experts even argue that it is Iran that benefits most from its relationship with Russia than vice versa.
You mentioned those both accusing each other of abandoning Syria. They propped up the Assad regime and then pulled the plug when rebel forces advanced to Damascus. I wonder, is Syria likely to feature in bilateral talks, or has Moscow sort of admitted defeat and moved on?
Well, Moscow hasn't admitted defeat, and in fact, in late December, Putin was still hoping to keep military bases in Syria, despite reports about their evacuation. But yes, the Kremlin has already announced that the situation in Syria will be one of the topics that Putin and Pezeshkian will discuss today. And given their mutual accusations about who is to blame for Assad's downfall in Syria, they certainly have a lot to talk about.
OK, thanks for that. DW's Sergei Satanovskii in Riga.